Ohio has policy addressing gifted students. The written education plan is a template for creating individual programs. The principles behind the suggested plan component have proven to meet the unique needs of gifted students. However, in the state of Ohio, even plans that are written do not have to be supported, which is unfortunate. I took a look at a variety of plans and implementations that could be added to the WEP to make it better at relatively low to no cost. Step one towards designing a written education plan for a gifted child is student identification and profile. First of all, you need to know who the gifted children are. In the state of Ohio, we look at superior cognitive ability, specific academic ability, creative thinking ability, visual or performing arts ability. We use approved assessments, we use gifted identification plans, and we use referrals and whole grade screenings, and that comes from the Ohio Department of Education. We also take a look at students at specific times in their development. To be identified as having a superior cognitive ability, the student needs to score 2 standard deviations above the mean in the preceding 24 months of the assessment, or they have to have accomplished 2 standard deviations above the means minus the standard error of the measurement on an approved standardized group intelligence test. If they perform in the 95th percentile on an approved individual or group standardized basic composite battery of nationally normed achievement tests, or attained an approved score on one or more of the above grade level standardized nationally normed approved tests. Students are assessed at third grade, before third grade, and before sixth grade in the state of Ohio. The research, though, has further identified that you need to look at a student's personal resources when considering whether they're gifted. Personal resources include knowledge, skills, and experiences, their internal developmental resources and strengths, various abilities, gifts, and talents, profiles of intelligence, cognitive characteristics, personality traits, both the positive and negative, emotional characteristics, and this may get into trice exceptional students who have developmental difficulties in some areas, such as autism or ADHD, but they are gifted in other areas. So that is a unique situation that we must look at. We also have to look at potentially cultural attributes and assets, whether or not they have good parental support, family support, and whether or not the school system supports their unique learning. Developing annual goals is an important part of the WEP. There is an annual goal page in the template. Each goal is linked to a specific identification and relevant contact area, and it should be designed to meet and support the student's development towards realizing their potential. It also needs to identify the present levels to show growth. Goals can target academic growth, skill development, independent learning. They provide structure and direction. They define what the expected outcomes are and what is mastery. They guide interventions and activities. They support student development and future planning. It also frames purpose for the student. What is very important about goals is that all stakeholders must be on the same page. Parents, educators, administrators, and students need to be on the same page for the goals to be met. Determining the program component and interventions is an important part of the WEP. It identifies specific programs, components, or curricular interventions that will achieve the goals. The template suggests considering differentiation concepts such as acceleration, complexity, depth, challenge, abstractness, and or cognitive creativity. Interventions could include enrichment activities, which go beyond the standard curriculum with more detailed or in-depth exploration of topics. For instance, taking students to an orchestra or a museum or a book reading or something along those lines to add culturally and more critically thinking activities such as being in the community. There's also mentorships and internships, particularly with students who are in STEM fields. This gives them the opportunities to gain in-depth knowledge and real work environment experiences. Mentoring for high school students with high academic ability who want more in-depth academic knowledge and real job expectations benefit from mentors. There are residential mentorship programs for high school students with high academic performance in engineering and in marine science. The National Science Foundation provides mentors and professionals for STEM students as well. That is according to Dr. Kim in 2021. The only way any of these programs are going to work is if you have the right personnel and the right settings for the gifted student to learn. You cannot put a untrained teacher into a gifted classroom and expect good results. Gifted teachers are accredited, they are trained, and they are certified in order to work with gifted students. I mentioned earlier the twice exceptional student. That is even a more unique teacher who knows how to deal with the issues of autism or ADHD or other developmental disabilities in conjunction with the giftedness of a student. And so it really does take special training in order to do this. Mentors do not necessarily have to be specifically trained, but they should be experts in their field. They should, especially if it's a STEM expert, you're not going to put somebody who teaches third grade math as the mentor for a eighth grader who is looking at engineering for a career. You're going to look for a NASA engineer or somebody from one of the companies in Cleveland that could help mentor that person. Um, the mentoring process is a collaboration, and the WEP requires outlining student progress. So we come to the monitoring process and collaboration. Again, the WP requires outlining student progress measures to determine how the student will demonstrate a mastery of the goal. This could be different if you have somebody who is artistically gifted. They might perform something or they might produce a work of art that would demonstrate this ability. If it is somebody who is in a STEM field, perhaps they would do an extra project with engineering or mathematics or physics. Whereas if it was a student who was a humanities gifted student, English or history, they might do a presentation or write an extra paper that would demonstrate this ability. It is a collaborative effort in a team meeting that involves the students, the parents, and the teachers, both the general education and the gifted intervention specialists and administrators. This collaboration makes sure that you have a full total student outlook in the plan and that the WEP is serving to enhance a student's educational experience and not make it more stressful or make it unrealistic. We don't want to set up any student to fail.